I always love the transition from the backstage to the main stage. Hey everyone, how are you? Very unique. We've never had this panel with you before. So I'm particularly excited on what we are going to cover. We have girls in tech that have joined us from different parts of the world. And tonight's panel will run for about 40 minutes. We'll have this conversation. Shortly after, we're going to break out into tables of air meet. Understand that you will get the recording and some recap notes dropped in your inbox. But we do want your questions in the meantime. Ask them all, drop them in the live chat. Feel free to use a Q&A. We want to hear what you have to say, what you're curious about. We'll make sure that they're filtered and funneled through the speakers. And real quick, I want Ewelina to tell us a little bit more about Girls in Tech. So Ewelina, the moment is yours.
Okay, thank you. So hello everyone, I'm the Girls in Tech Poland Managing Director and one of the creators of this event. So as Girls in Tech, we unite our community to educate each other and grow our businesses by collaborating via social networking like this one. So as we are close friends with Girls in Tech Korea, we thought that why not connect our communities? So that's the reason we are here. So I would like to greet you and cannot wait for fireside chat, and then we can have great conversation around the tables. So yes, passing my mic.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the representation from Poland. But now for Girls in Tech Korea, Kelly, good evening.
Hello, guys. This is Kelly from Girls in Tech Korea. I just want to say I'm very happy to be here. And I'm very proud to say I was the social glue for our organizations because I know Martha and I know Hyojung from the Girls in Tech event. I was actually at that time volunteer. So this shows that, even small connection can lead to a bigger connection if you have a good intentions and have a good heart. So I hope you enjoy this great event. And if you want to know about Girls in Tech Korea, please come to visit to my table. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. Again, after the panel, we are breaking out into smaller tables. Speaking of connection, women who's bring it all together, no strangers to the audience or the speakers. Marta, tell us about Seoul Startup.
Hi everyone. My name is Martha. I'm originally from Poland, but based in Seoul, South Korea for the last 13 years plus. I am the catalyst behind Seoul Startups, the biggest international startup community here in Korea, which link you will have here in the chat room in a minute after I'm done. What we do, we create a platform, a space that is focused on founders, concentrate. This is also one of the things, connecting different communities and turning them into synergies. And I'm really excited about what's going to happen. So back to you, Kyla.
Thank you, Marta. Likewise, we have designed, and then we want to learn where you are based right now. So I'll let you each speak to yourself. We'll start with Hyo, move to Ewelina, and then Jimin, and then Victoria.
Hello! Woo! 안녕하세요. Hi everyone. I'm Hyo from South Korea, currently in Paris. And this is where we work. It's called Station F, the world's biggest startup incubator. I'm CEO and founder of Nomad Her, an Afro-female globetrotters to encourage women to travel more. And we believe that travel with adventure, story, challenges make women to grow, bloom, mature. So you can think of Nomad Her as more than tourism or hospitality company, but it's more like education company, which believes in the power of traveling for women empowerment. I started Nomad Her after having traveled in 42 countries solo. And then I went through some personal, very bad experience in Italy, which became a click for me to start Nomad Her. We are a team of digital nomads looking for a backend developer. So that's one of the big reasons for being here today, Girls in Tech. So if you want to join our team, it's always open and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yo, and I love this space. I've always wanted to go to Paris, so we appreciate you bringing some of that to us. And I think I said Evelina, but I meant to say
I think it's pretty démodé to say you're a startup. So I always say I'm an entrepreneur or a consultant. I've been creating a few startups so far. One went public until end of last year. I was marketplaces we all know are based on. What keeps me awake at night is my PhD. That is pretty much a demanding project. And of course, what is really close to my heart is Mentors for Starters, the foundation I have co-founded 7 years ago, I think now. It's something that brings young leaders together, people with high potential, people that share the same values. Amazing crowd that I always look forward to see and to work with. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
doing it all, disrupting the e-commerce space, getting your PhD, Mentors for Starters. We have women that are multifaceted tonight. I'm going to give it over back to Asia Jimin-Ryu. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you here on AirMeet. My name is Jimin. I'm a Korean, also located in Seoul, South Korea right now. I'm actually joining in from my office, so it's not so fancy as Hyo. I work currently at a venture capital called The Ventures, and I work together with Marta, one of the co-hosts of today's event, on a program called Impact Collective. And I think this program is the one program that I really want to introduce tonight, which is a community-driven investment accelerating program where anyone, like you guys, all of you guys joining in here, can participate and have some kind of influence in terms of where our investments will be in. So currently we're interested in the Asia Pacific region, looking at Southeast Asian startups, focusing on that has impact in their areas. And so the key word I guess I would like to emphasize is impact and the collectiveness of the program, which is the community that comes in all together to make the program possible. So yeah, nice meeting you all, and hope to have a great time today. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Jimin. We're so thrilled to have you on. Victoria, good afternoon and welcome to the panel. Tell us about yourself. Oh no, I think we just lost her. All right.
Yeah, she was texting that she had some issues with the connection.
Oh, damn. That's so ironic because we're here talking about connection and she just lost her internet connection. But that's all right. We'll bring it back to the relationship connection, ladies. When she comes back on, we'll give her the floor to introduce herself to the audience. In the meantime, when I was researching each of your careers, the way you've built your life and where you've moved and what you've done, what's in common among the four ladies on the stage is community has been a pillar in your growth. So I want to go straight into the meat of tonight's conversation. If you had to rebuild your community from start, is there anything you would do differently? I'll give the mic to anyone who wants to speak first.
Can I start? Hi, that was something I was thinking about yesterday. What are the fundamental issues when you want to create a community, right? And it came to me, and it was an epiphany. It was like A, B, C, D, E. And A, it's authenticity. difficult to find a community manager if you want to employ someone, because this is there's not always this spirit that you dare because it came from directly from your heart, and you feel it with your whole body and your soul, and you really love it. Then B is be there. It's about presence and really always being very involved, always being very engaged. I think that's the one that sometimes I could probably be more focused on. It's about really giving people time and helping them out and listening to them. Then we have culture. Find values that you have in common, something that really keeps you together, and talk about it. Keep on talking about it. Then diversity. It's only from diversity comes the power, right? If we are open to other people, if we respect them, then we are able to gather all the potential we have. If we are closed for anyone, any group, then we're cutting some potential. And then we have E, that stands for effort, and that's the least. All the others are like alchemistry a little bit, but effort, it just means organizing events, making people feel comfortable, listening to them, being really creative about what you do. And I think especially on the be present and always the be part, I have done it not always best, and I would do it differently.
If you're not feeling present, Maria, where are you usually? Like what's always in your head if not being there with the community? Is it worrying? Is it concerned?
It's many things. It's just you mentioned about my multitasking, and I imagine that sometimes it's time scarcity. In the background, you hear my children crying. So those are another 2 startups with unlimited rounds of funding that I deal with daily and nightly. So it's about that. I think you really need to be decided and committed. Probably that's this be present about commitment and like long-term commitment. But if you're authentic, it shouldn't be painful. It's just time.
I love that. And thank you for mentioning, having children. I think that speaks to your first value of A, about being authentic and showing up as who you are. Thank you so much, Maria. Victoria, welcome back. I want to give you the floor. I want you to meet people here. Hello, how's your connection?
Hi, sorry about my laptop and my connection, but I hope that it works right now. So I'm back. So I guess I should go back to the first question and then say a few words about myself. So I'm working for Microsoft. I'm responsible for Microsoft for Startups program. So that's my main project right now, and I'm focusing on the Polish and Ukrainian market. But I'm part of the whole CAE team. So we are focusing on building community and around B2B startups in the region. And that's one of my major things that it's going on right now. The second one is Global Shapers. I'm leading Global Shapers Warsaw Hub, and that's my second project, which is also very engaging. So I'm super happy to meet you all, and I just wanted to say that you are all super inspiring, and I'm really enjoying your company.
Yeah, we got some good energy tonight on the panel, some good experience and diversification. So the question that I had through the speakers was about knowing community is important. It was the one pillar you 4 had in common on how you've built your life and your career. If you had to rebuild it, what would you do differently if there was something? And I took great notes on Maria's, her response. I dropped them in the chat, but Victoria, you're welcome to answer. Shimiro, if you want to go. Yeah, go ahead, Victoria.
Yeah, I feel that a lot has changed like last year. So we live a little bit different communities right now. And I feel that people are very much picky when choosing communities that they are belonging to. So any community I'm building, what I would do differently, I would for sure focus more on like very deep, more on personal level, like more like on connection and really knowing another person, because I feel like Previously, we were a bit like randomly creating communities around some activities that we had. Right now, it's more really in purpose, and we really need to have one common goal in communities. And also, I feel that really knowing people, knowing their needs, it's much easier then to create this common mutual goal that we have in each communities, and we just know how to help each other out when there is a need. So that's something that I've learned like last year, because I see people are engaging more when they see that we really understand each other and we are really taking care of each other. So just being more human in business, also in business relationships. I feel that this is the key to create a really strong community where people are helping each other.
I have a follow-up question, but I want to first see Jimin and Hyo if you guys want to respond to that question before we move on. Yeah.
I can jump in. The fact that I shouldn't get stressed about the number of the community people. For example, I see like Seoul startups is growing. Girls in Tech is growing. The same goes for Nomad Her. At first, when we had like 1 users, like 10 user, I was like, oh, when are we gonna reach to like 100, 1,000, 10,000? And I think it's kind of frustration that a lot of people are going through, because creating a community, it's very difficult. It takes so much time. It takes so much effort. All of us know it, right? In case of Nomad Her, I can show it to you. So this is my chat room. Basically, like I talk to every single user whenever who comes to Nomad Her. Of course, we can use automation, but try to really talk to people, to listen to their voice, how they come to Nomad Her, what's their like expectation, what we can do it better. And this kind of things that don't scale. It takes so much effort, but realizing the fact that one day it can scale up quickly, but it's okay not to be big from the start. It took me a lot of years to realize this fact. Yeah.
How long did it take for Nomad Her to go from 1 to 100?
Oh, but you know what? Interesting thing is, because we for certain steps to be verified users. But from 1,000 to another 2,000, I think it goes again like fast. So from 1,000 to 1,000, I hope that the speed will be faster than from 1 to 1,000.
Okay, and I know right now you are in the thousands. Sorry, Maria, go ahead.
Sorry. I wanted to ask a question to Hyo. Am I pronouncing
or Yo? Here in France, they call me Yo.
Yo, cool. I was wondering what differs a user base from a community, because I was more talking about the community that is not non-commercial at all. You are speaking more of people who are using your app, and you're very engaged, and I see that you speak about with passion. So what do you think? What tips could you give to someone who wants to transform their user base into a community?
That's a really good question. The thing is, it's true, like community, you sometimes cannot see it. Like sometimes the number doesn't always tell, because very few people might be active and the rest might not be that much active. The same goes for Slack channels, like application. And for me, I think that's why I'm still saying like doing things that don't scale. I really try to talk to people, listen to the voice, because I know the power of one person and recommending. For example, I'm just talking to new user of Nomad Her app. She got recommended by her mother. Her mother loved Nomad Her. Usually I imagine to be opposite, but mother recommended the daughter to download the Nomad Her app. And actually a mother and daughter, they are now part of Nomad Her community, because I think user is people who use the app. But when we want to call it as community, it's people who really like engage, who are passionate about what we are building. That's what I'm thinking. And it takes
if you were to give one advice to someone who, because people may not have trust to, like, if they use your app, they may think, oh, she's nice to us because she wants our money, or at the end of the day, we'll pay her because we'll be using her service. How would you advise someone to, how to build the trust, how to make people really trust you?
Oh, I know that feeling so much, because here in Paris, always people, like, when they want money, they are nice and talking to you on the street randomly. I'm like, woo, 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 I don't want to talk to you. So I know that feeling more than anyone else. The thing is still, like, I believe the power of true, sincere heart. When we talk to someone with sincere, pure heart, I think people can feel it. Do you feel it, Kayla, for example? Do you feel it, Maria?
I think so. And I believe in energy that you give off as well. Like you can
I think it's this
that someone is out for something.
It's this authenticity for me, that you're so happy to be here and talk about it, that you would have to be, I don't know how much paid in order to show it. Otherwise, it has to be, your own belief, and it has to come from yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I think building community is really amazing. It takes so much effort, but it's blooming, It's those people who are supporting part of us, reason of existence.
Absolutely.
Do you think for people who are, and this is a question for Hyo, for the speakers, for people who are building community, the number can be such a driver because you want to reach a certain benchmark, but what should be the goal of a community leader? Like, what should their North Star be for them, if not growing?
It's really interesting question. So today morning, we're talking with this one VC, very famous VC in South Korea. And then we're talking like, what should be the KPI, like key performance index for Nomad Her? And then we come up with this idea. Number of users, number of daily users, number of community members might be important. But for us, at least, the connection rate, connection frequency between users are also important. What do you think? Like, let's say Nomad Her, let's say, instead of calculating how many Nomad Hers we are using our app, that's important too. But how many Nomad Hers are actually talking to each other, engaging among themselves? I think it's really important too.
Yeah, there's a statistic I read, or a quote about statistics, where it says, if your work can be quantified, it actually loses a lot of its human value, because the best things in life cannot truly be measured. So do you, and I'll Jimin, I want to get you here, and I want to hear your thoughts when you do Impact Collective and all. Do you think connection can be measured?
That's a really great question, because because just as you were saying, like the quantifiable part of a community. So Impact Collective, we were running, it was our first program that we ran last year. But the number of members that we have on our platform reached 1,000 around December, and that was like 4 months into the program. So we were super happy about that. We were like, okay, we've surpassed our KPI, but then I actually had to dig into the numbers and looked at how much value each of the members were actually feeling from this community, from being a part of the community, and that I don't think can be quantified. And for us, that's the most difficult part, trying to make sure every one of the members in this community is feeling that value of being in our community. Not just, you're a head count, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, but you are contributing some valuable insight one way or another. The way we want the community to be actually is, very, very self-motivated community that can give insights that investors sometimes will miss out, because investors were like all collected, kind of going on that same, like, okay, KPI. Hyo mentioned this, like she was talking to a VC in Korea, and what's the KPI for Nomad Her, right? That's exactly how our minds are usually set up. And so that's why we feel like the community aspect is super important, because what they can bring to the table is something that investors might miss out. They, as a end user, could provide something that we could, some valuable insight that we could not have known. And so that was the aspect that we wanted to incorporate in terms of evaluating startups, evaluating ideas for investments. And I don't think that can be quantified either. So that's a very good point. However, as a VC, I must say that without a number two like traction, without that, I think it'll be very, very hard for us to, we have to report to our LPs, like limited partners, who's putting money in our funds. There has to be some sort of logic, right? So I guess that's something, the two things that needs to be balanced in the long run. Yeah. Anyone else?
Jimin, do you think that being a VC, would you be satisfied, like, because of course it makes sense to put as a KPI number of users, for example, right? Because that gives you certain indication. But do you think it's possible to satisfy investors with the KPIs like user satisfaction? So it's still a number because you can put it from the scale 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, but it's something very, very subjective, right? Where do you think in this whether, because in the communities, just to finish this, in the communities, sometimes the criteria, the KPIs are very subjective. It can be how much people feel connected to the community. While in an investment project, it has to be more objective. Do you think the investors could take from communities that think of measuring in a subjective way?
So I guess what we do is seed investment. So super early stage, like MVP stage, you might have a prototype. In that case, it'll be very difficult for the team to give a objective analysis. It's mostly subjective. And so based on the different stages of your funding rounds, the investors will ask for different KPIs, different tractions, different numbers. The earlier stages will definitely take into consideration these subjective, but I think that's the only way you can initially measure whether your hypothesis, okay, is this idea going to work? How are you going to test it out if you don't even have a proper product that can be released to, it has to be some sort of a subjective analysis initially. However, if you're in your Series A, Series B, they're asking for the numbers and you need to reach those KPIs. So earlier stages, more open and welcome to these.
Will it change? Do you think it has a chance that those subjective will go further to maybe not Series A or B, but over the seed stage? Or
will it change?
Right?
That's actually a really interesting thing that I was having a call with another community builder last week. And what they're doing is looking at impact KPIs. So they're not really even like numerical KPIs, but rather SDG aligned impact analysis that measures on like ESG. And there are so many different, like B Corp. If you guys know B Corp certification, they ask for, very, very diverse, like how many females are in your company, how much disability measurements are there, like how like accessibility in your company. There are so many different measurements that can be applied, and they are definitely becoming more and more utilized, especially as impact investing, ESG investing, and as more and more people become aware of these things. I definitely think, Maria, that your question and that's the way that people are going to go in the near upcoming future. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna help just steer us back to the connection and the community. I think one thing we got out of the first round of questions is about true connection. Kyo talks to every new user one-on-one. Victoria talked about knowing the people that are part of your community and caring for them. So a question that came from the audience was, what is your go-to growth strategy for communities? And when I read that question, I get a user-based feel. So I want to kind of spin that a bit for you guys and ask you, how do you scale that true like reach out? Will you never automate it? Will you always make sure to understand why they're passionate about joining you? What's the strategy on increasing your community number if that's what you're after? Or do you do collaborations? Do you manually reach out to people to join your community? How do you build that awareness? If you've even had a plan. I've seen communities get built without the intention to build a community. It was just people getting together with some weird niche interests that people collected. So let me throw the question to the speakers. Again, how is your strategy to grow your communities?
If I may, I think there are two things we are talking about. So it's a database of people around something, around app or a business. Mm-hmm. And then we have the community. So I think it's really important interested in having, let's say, 50 but super engaged people rather than 1,000 just people being there but not having any engagement with that. And I feel that even if you have a small community, if it's very engaged, it could scale up fast by just people around that community will see the engagement that they have inside the community, and they just we want to be part of this community, because if the community is fulfilled and if the needs are fulfilled, they feel the energy coming from the community that will spread this around. So it's quite easier to scale community, because this 1K community could double very fast rather than building database with no engagement. So
Victoria, I love your insights and your stories, and it just makes me think, for you to be able to share this, you must have once been a member of a really great community. It's like, what's one of the first communities you've joined where you were like, this is amazing, I love this group?
Actually, Global Shapers, I think. So
Global Shapers.
Yes, the same, I think, experience. I think it was the first community that really, was really fulfilling, and you met really people with a huge engagement, and with what was super important, we had the same goals. So we had projects, we wanted to do some good for other people, and that was this kind of engagement. So first of all, we just liked each other. We wanted to spend more time with each other, and we had common goal, and that was this fulfillment that was coming up from the community. When you feel that, you feel that you can do anything.
Yeah, it's very empowering. You're absolutely right. And I know that's something we're always trying to cultivate at Seoul Startup for a lot of the first-time founders we have here. So Maria, Jimin, and Hyo, I want to hear your thoughts. How do you approach growing your community in terms of quality of connection and maybe quantity as well, if that's something you track?
For me, I think it was maybe Victoria talked about, but self-motivation is really important. So in the end, when we can say like we are creating meaningful community, is like how community members are engaged in the process itself, and also how community members are willing to come up with something new, inspiring for our community itself. In case of Nomad, or for example, we try to increase our members to be part of our product like development process. For example, let's say we want to come up with new functions. We actually ask people, hey, we had this idea, we got this feedback, we are in this process of making this. What do you think about it? Do you like A function? Do you like B function? Do you like it? You didn't like it? Please go into the poll and give us
building.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the end, community is also showing the vulnerability, like showing that like Nomad Her is a very budding entrepreneur team with only 5 people. It's okay. People understand more like deeply. Oh yeah, that's true. Like maybe you guys can have some bugs, some issues, but we understand we're making this together. Community members come up with ideas like, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Let me make the solo female travel guide for you guys. No, 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 no. So in the end, you are talking about going back to the growth strategy. How can we grow this community? I think it can be meaningful when it's not like unilateral relationship, but people feel like we are making this together. We are engaging, making voice, and the thing itself comes from self-motivation. Let's make it together. Then that brings people word of mouth, recommending mother, recommending to the daughter, etc.
I like that. You're inspiring me to get more plugged into Nomad Her. I'm a part of a few like tools like Notion, the note taking tool, and they have an untapped community that I didn't know about that is always giving product updates and they want requests, and it's incredible to see people so emotionally invested in a better user experience because they're passionate about it.
Kayla, I think that's very crucial point. That is something that you already mentioned. It's when people recommend to each other, right? Matter to recommending Nomad Her to her daughter. That's about getting ambassadors and getting people who will advocate for your community, and then they will bring you more people, and they will. They will cause this snowball effect. So I think this is very, very important to identify users that will later on become ambassadors of your ecosystem, of your community, anything, and your app, anything that you're actually gathering your community around. So this is about getting people, like making a great impression on people who later on will not keep this information for themselves. This is crucial.
Yes, passing on value. Knowledge is only useful when it's shared too. Exactly. Thank you. Jimin, I see that you've unmuted yourself. I want to hear what you have to say.
So I guess it's like a extension of the thought of after that snowball effect that Maria, you mentioned, after those ambassadors have onboarded these massive new people, how do you? It's a question for the panelists. How do you keep them there? Because the most recent community that I was looking really, really closely at was Clubhouse. And initially, how this Clubhouse app it went viral in Korea, specifically within the VCs, like late January, and so we were all onboarded in this new platform. But now it's like the level of activity of us, even me, I don't go on as much as before. So how do you keep the community members there and continue, like what would be the value, what would be the pillars to keep the community there after that snowball effect, after those ambassadors have onboarded people? Does anyone?
Yeah, I feel that you cannot really do anything if new members that are joining the community are not engaged on the level that they don't feel the need to be engaged. I mean, they don't have the satisfaction of being in the community, and their needs are not fulfilled by the community. So yeah, this was very similar for me in Clubhouse. I joined because I was invited by someone, but my needs were not fulfilled there. I didn't feel the part of community. So I feel it's good to have this snowball effect, but because there will still be a percentage of people that will stay in your community. They will feel good in this community, and that community is something they'll be searching for a long time. But still, you need to have in your mind that you will have ghosts in your community joining by this motion.
Also,
I think.
oh no, go Maria.
Sure. Now I think Clubhouse has a lot of communities. It's about they have a lot of users. They gathered users using the snowball effect. They did it very smart. It was you had to be invited, so it was something quite elite. That's a very smart move, very well known growth hacking method. So that's how they gathered a big user base. However, in terms of communities, I don't think it's one community. There's plenty of small communities, and some of them will die out, and the others will actually flourish because there will be, good potential meeting another potential, and those groups will attach the people for longer. But absolutely, it's not one community.
Also, I want to say that it's great if people can come up to the app like Instagram, right? Like people always join that community. Let's say Seoul Startup. Let's say people always come to Seoul Startup Slack. That's amazing. But the most important thing is reminding to people that we are here and you're always feel free to join whenever you're willing to. In No Matter Her's case, there was one user who told me she downloaded our app. She knew about it 1 year ago. She has never touched it for that 1 year. And then she came back and she said, I loved it. I loved how it improved, how it's going, advancing. This kind of thing can happen. People might forget it. It's okay. That can happen. But the thing is, when people come back,
people are changing and needs are changing. So, for example, this community might not be interesting for me right now, but maybe I will have this need soon in the future, and I will know that this community exists, so I can rejoin or I can activate the engagement once again. So this is very important that you have visibility of the community and people know about you.
You guys.
I can add one. So I definitely agree. No Matter Her, people don't travel at the moment, but people know there is No Matter Her. Some people say we're gonna definitely use it when we start traveling. It's okay. You don't use it right now. It's okay. But remember the fact that we are always here. We're moving, advancing.
I know people love when others build in public. They like being with the journey, being with the person. You guys mentioned Clubhouse. So besides Clubhouse, there are other social platforms. Which ones do you find that you enjoy connecting more with your community today? The one where your community is most active on. I know Hyo has the app, but Maria, Victoria, Jimin, do you have a preference of social platforms?
Oh, social platform, okay.
I think it really depends on your community, because for Microsoft, for startups or more professional communities, LinkedIn is a very good platform. You can actually build communities, close communities there, and so it really depends on who you are targeting, and is it open community for everyone or more kind of close one. Facebook is also, and it's been there for a while in creating communities. So I think this is still a platform that is there. And we'll see also with Clubhouse. I feel that Clubhouse is still very fresh. So it's hard to say where it will go in terms of creating some communities around that. But for me, LinkedIn it's and Facebook is the most important right now.
Yeah, I think, so I'm from the States, but when you leave the States, you find that Facebook has immense value after you travel. Expats tend to just go to Facebook to create these groups of them in this country. And for the first time, I'm I actually want to write something on this social platform. So you're totally right, going where the users are and connecting with them there. Maria, go ahead.
Not being very original or out of the box here, it's Facebook and WhatsApp. It's just very easy. People are very well, acquainted with those devices, with those apps. So it's super easy. And this is what we need these days, because people are so, they exhausted with so many communicators. We've got, WebEx, Teams, Hangout, Zoom. People are really tired with that. So the simpler, the better. I know it's probably the options there are very limited, but but for communication itself, for project management, it's a disaster. But for communication, it's good.
What's the biggest WhatsApp group that you're currently in? How many people?
I think I'm a part of Global Shapers community, and there are some groups that have probably hundreds of people. I remember times when on WhatsApp there was a maximum number of people. I think in a group there was 50 or 100, something like this. Of course, they changed it, but I remember years ago it was this way. But probably a few hundred people could be present on some groups, because there are curators of certain years, and it's about, Victoria, correct me, 400 hubs around the world.
400 something right now, 430, I think.
So just curators,
shapers, hubs.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Have you heard about the chapter in Korea, in South Korea, in Seoul? There must be chapter of Global Shapers, the hub.
Oh, I know Global Shapers, but yeah, I'm definitely sure there's one in Seoul too. I know Global Shapers here in Paris. I'm part of, for example, a community called Girls 20. So it's basically women of G20 countries representing their own country, more like women community format of Global Shapers. People with a vision, like who want to talk about so many different topics. So I'm part of the community. I strongly, definitely recommend Seoul startups and girls in tech. It's a pretty awesome community. Especially,
I have a question. Do you think it's easier to create a community for women only or for men only, or is it easier to create a community that is for everybody?
I believe in diversity, so I'm always with diversity.
Yeah, it also depends on like what kind of market and what kind of problem you want to target. So I think depending on that, it can be different. Yes, some people, like I see there are lots of femtech community happening, like talking about menstruation, talking about after birth issues. There can be parental community, like both women, like all gender can participate when I say it, like, right? There might be some, no matter her community, like Girls 20 community, there might be some very combined community, etc. So I cannot say which one is easier than the other one. Yeah.
There was a Twitter thread that I read once about someone saying community is strong because it does exclude people. Like because of that part of exclusion, people who are in it actually feel stronger. And I know in Seoul startups, we really prioritize being inclusive. But if you're not in the startup scene, it is a little hard to be part of it, even if you're aspirationally trying to get in. And I think the founders and people who work at startups and VCs enjoy being in the community because they know that others who decided to go the more paved route in business or in any other industry are not in that group. And that exclusivity is what brings people closer together. So when I think about men versus women or like co-ed, etc., I sometimes wonder, do the girls' clubs work because boys are not allowed in? Do we feel more connected because we know men aren't here? It's just a question, that you're making me think about. It's a great question. Thank you.
That's a great remark. I also agree about the exclusivity part. It's true, like inclusion, if we want to include some people, it's true, sometimes we need to exclude some people. In case of nomad her, people are more connected because they know that it takes so much effort, like taking a selfie, posting about your personal information. So it requires loyalty, like engagement, efforts to be part of this community, and people know that it's only among women they can talk about any issues like love. I broke up with my boyfriend. Now I'm going on my solo traveling. I'm 50-year-old woman. Whenever I go solo traveling, people feel like I'm divorced, this miserable woman, which is not true, etc. This is only possible because it's women exclusive community. So I love Kayla's remark.
I agree. I think this elite thing that made Clubhouse so popular, you had to receive an invitation to be part of it. So at least people logged in, because it was not the spam that everybody received. It was something that your friend, your colleague, your acquaintance sent to you. And I see that in the Mentors for Starters, because to be part of that community, and similar with Global Shapers, or probably with many communities we talk about here, you have to be accepted first. You have to apply, you have to make an effort, and then you become part of it or not. It's not a simple thing of logging in or even putting some your name or your information about yourself. I think people value it. They appreciate the fact they think more, and it makes us feel good as well. I think it's something we may not be eager to confess because it sounds vain, but that's part of the game.
Thank you, Maria. We are almost approaching the hour, and I want to give all the attendees some time with you in smaller groups. So I'm going to invite Marta back to the stage so she can just explain how we're going to split up into these tables. But you have Hyo with Nomad Her, you have Maria Belka with just Mentors for Starters to start with a woman that's multifaceted, so much more. Jimin with the Ventures and Impact Collective, and you have Victoria with Microsoft, and also we've done work with Global Shapers. But Marta, please tell us what we're going to do next.
Right, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed this chat. This was amazing. And don't worry, everything is recorded and we're going to share it through our communities. I hope you were taking notes. I definitely was. If you want to chat with our speakers, ask them more in-depth questions. Once I break up the sessions, you'll be sent automatically to the lounge. Each speaker will have her own table where she will sit. There's her name written on the table. You can join the table and chat away. The tables are limited to 8 people. So once you kind of get your questions answered, it will be a good idea to leave that table and let other people join in there as well. In the meantime, you can join the Girls in Tech tables. Our Seoul Startups table will be also open if you want to chat with us as well. There'll be a water cooler table where you can just meet and network with people, or you can just slide into the speed networking that we have also offered at the top of the page. So don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We'll be here, and let's connect. Let's meet new people. Let's continue this conversation, because I think some really important stuff was being said, and I hope it will continue down the line from here as well. Kyla, anything else you want to say before we break up here?
Huge thank you to the audience for being with us this afternoon and this evening. We loved your questions and your comments. Thank you to the speakers. I will be dashing straight over to the speakers table, so you guys better click fast. It is musical chairs. We are in a competitive space. This is startups. I'll see you there.